Absolutely, the way this year is set up, for sure. You know, it leads to you, as I was saying earlier, you have no room for error this year. Now, you know, you've a very small period. You've quick games in quick succession. You've no room for error. So literally, whatever you can't time your run to peak. You know, on the 20th of December or whatever it is, you have to be ready to go. And from the get-go, you know, you have to be ready to perform, because that's it. It's straight knockout. It's championship football, and there's no back door. So there's no Super 8s where you might afford to lose a game or something or perform poorly. You literally have to be on the money every day, and you have to be sharp every day, and that's the beauty of it. And that's, I suppose, from a fans or perspective point of view, that's what's exciting about it.
So, Brian, I tried to chat to you there, but your Spotify playlist was playing over the top, and it sounded like Daniel O'Donnell. What was going on?
No accountability for that. I was trying to just test the audio of my computer, and a Daniel O'Donnell song just happened to come on in the background. So, it must have been, I think it was hacked or something.
Somebody else must have been using your Spotify.
Yeah, definitely. I have to lie. I got an email to say it was being hacked, all right, so that must be it now.
Well, I wasn't going to ask you this, but what are you listening to on Spotify these days?
I don't know. I'm a bit of an all-rounder when it comes to music. Like, depends on the mood, I think, but absolutely won't shy away from a bit of Westlife or whatever is in the charts. Some cheesy stuff. When I'm in the gym, it might be a little bit heavier, a little bit R&B based or rap based. But yeah, no, a bit of everything. Big fan of Dermot Kennedy, obviously. I'm very much on that Irish bandwagon. Love his stuff, but just a bit of everything, really.
Well, I'm not going to shy away from the Westlife stuff. Like, what's your favorite Westlife song?
So I'll tell you, sir, we were at 4 or 5 of us had tickets to Westlife last year in Croke Park. So I think myself, Owen Merchant, Brian Howard, Sean Bugler and Evan Comerford were in Croke Park, and some of us had seats, 2 of us had seats, and then we somehow blagged our way onto the pitch. And we were at the Westlife concert, loved it. I think it was on a Wednesday, maybe before a big game, so unfortunately you couldn't get the real sense of the party, like. So they did, what's their song? Obviously, You Raise Me Up is iconic. There's a whole like key change and stand up. And But they did a song as part of their like encore thing, which for the life of me, I can't think of.
Was it Tonight? Because that has a very iconic
it's not Tonight.
Key change as well.
Queen of My Heart, that's what it is. Sorry, put my pen down. Queen of My Heart was part of their encore, I think, if anyone remembers the concerts last year in Croke Park. And pretty iconic, I have to say. It's an emotional one.
Do you think is that your favourite song? Because to be honest, I love Westlife because they're not easy to sing along to, but you can sing along to them. But Queen of My Heart, I always find is a difficult one to go along.
Yeah, it makes it all feel like pop stars. No, like they have a couple of hits now that you'd regularly hear in Coppers as well, like which is more like party, like that. But Queen of My Heart now was pretty epic at the stadium. Well,
that's everything, Brian. Thanks a million.
Please don't let any of that go there.
Well, here, I was actually just looking to see when your last game was, and it was back in February, and you lost. So this is probably your longest run of all time without winning a game for Dublin.
hopefully we don't make a habit of it. Our last game was up in Oma in the wet and rain and wind. I think, Dean Rock took a shot at one stage up in Oma, like it was sort of like around the D, kicking down, say like to the left of the camera, and like the ball just went up and curved around. I think it went out for a line ball or something. It was just one of those nights where the elements didn't allow for nice football. Beating Tyrone, bet as well that day. That day. So that's our last. And I was only saying, like earlier in the year when they were saying there's no chance of football, I would have been very disappointed with the year if that's sort of the outstanding memory of 2020. So thankfully we have a couple of games to look forward to.
Yeah, like that would, especially for you, because obviously you're used to the stats are well known about how many games you win with Dublin, but it would have been 2 draws, 1 loss and 2 wins out of 5 games in the year. That would have been a weird 2020.
It was a pretty sloppy start now. I think we were just sort of getting getting back together and getting stuck into it a little bit. Obviously, Desi was new in. So we had certainly, and I know they plan to play them, but we're, timing our run, as they say in the league, and that was our plan. But alas, wasn't to be.
Do you have sympathy for Desi even before this year all like broke down? Like it took over late in December. You boys were all on holidays, got you in late, and then people are leaving the squad and stuff like that. It just seems like it's a perfect storm for him. He's already won 5 in a row. I was thinking, God, that is a tough job for him to come into now.
Yeah, you probably answered your own question there. Like, I'm sure it's, but Desi, I know, is just so passionate about Dublin football. You know, really gets on well with a lot of us as players. Knows everyone, knows Dublin football from top to bottom. Obviously, a legend in his own right as a player. So obviously not ideal, I'd say, in terms of the circumstances, and maybe getting notified late or whatever my memory, if it serves me right, whatever the circumstances were. But I think maybe like the lockdown period and COVID period maybe has just allowed us all to take a breath from new management, new players gone, just sort of maybe press the reset button. I'm sure it gave Desi a chance to see us all with our clubs, and the management team to see us all with our clubs and get a feel of how we're all playing and how we're moving, if new lads are moving well and stuff. So maybe from that perspective, that the COVID period was a blessing in disguise. Maybe.
Is there anything in obviously you've won so much now, but actually it's usually for a team who's won once and then going into the second season. But is it Pat Riley's like an NBA coach, and he talked before about the disease of more. So once a team wins, the players all start, they want better stats for themselves, or sometimes people want new contracts in professional sports or whatever. How have you boys managed to stop that? Like there's no ego, there's nobody looking out for themselves for the next season, or annoyed that Brian Fenton's getting Footballer of the Year and I could be getting it,
Oh yeah, no, I don't, no, certainly not. And you're right, I must read that or watch that, because it sounds about right from our point of view. It's just the competitiveness of the lads there. It's just the eagerness to always be their best or my best, and as a group to always perform, and disappointment if we don't perform and we get poor performances, and hence maybe why you might look back on the league early part of this year to say we just didn't we didn't perform, and that's what sits with me all summer, and that stews with me. And I'm sure if you lose a big game at the end of this year, that will sit with you and stew with you. I was talking to Donald Murphy earlier from Kilkenny, and he was the same. His defeats really last a lot longer, I assume, than the wins. So yeah, I think in our group there's a huge sense of competition and growth, and not letting anyone outdo the other, and that just sort of brings the bar up, from what I can gather, as a team as a whole. And new lads are coming into that. They see this level of expectancy, and it's all just sort of rowing in the one direction, thankfully. So look, it's stuck to us well over the last few years, but nobody's to know, and that's what the beauty of this year is, maybe, that it's going to throw so many curveballs and challenges our way. So we'll see how we deal with them when the time comes.
Do you actually think that you're probably a bit worse now? Because everybody always talks about Dublin having a handy Leinster championship, but now you're going straight into a semi-final against an Ulster champion, if you win Leinster, of course. But does that sort of set you up maybe a bit more for a trip? Yeah,
absolutely. The way this year is set up, for sure. It leads to, as I was saying earlier, you have no room for error this year now. You've a very small period. You've quick games in quick succession. You've no room for error. So literally, whatever, you can't time your run to peak. On the 20th of December or whatever it is, you have to be ready to go. And from the get-go, you have to be ready to perform, because that's it. It's straight knockout. It's championship football, and there's no back door. So there's no Super 8s where you might afford to lose a game or something or perform poorly. You literally have to be on the money every day, and you have to be sharp every day, and that's the beauty of it. And that's, I suppose, from a fans or perspective point of view, that's what's exciting about it.
Yeah, I'm always interested in teams who win. Well, obviously everybody is, but the culture just in the changing room and on the training pitch. And what's the difference that you've experienced, from other teams that you've played with and even underage teams with Dublin and stuff? What's the difference with this team that's part of that culture that you probably didn't have elsewhere?
I don't know, and it is tough to put your hand on it, because there's just so many people driving it, and we know no different, and that's the process. And I'm lucky. I probably came in, and maybe if you were to ask some of the older players, they were part of that transition, but I sort of entered into this just sort of culture of growth and progression, and you're just sort of sucked up in it, and you're on that road as well. I think anytime when someone asks me, it's like, oh, what's the secret? So it's a bit probably not the answer people want, but it's genuine friendships and bonds and connections in the group. I think there's so much to be said for it, and I know it's maybe an area of growth and research in business, and bringing high achieving people together and how they perform, as a team, and as you say, not one sort of going off in one direction, the other going. I'm sure there's, from our point of view, it's people getting on first and foremost, people being open and even vulnerable with each other, and having that sort of open discussion of feedback or positive feedback or criticism or, you know, constructive feedback, in other words, that it's just very open and everyone just gets along. And I've done interviews where I said, what's going on? And you just sort of, we're all just friends. And I don't know how you quantify it, but that's what you know, if you were to ask me what's the secret, I think that's it. We all just have such a bond in the group and we're so lucky, and it's just an amazing environment.
That's actually mad because Isaiah Thomas used to play basketball. He said the secret of basketball is that there is no secret. It's the stuff that isn't to do with basketball. He said the secret is stuff that isn't to do with basketball, and that it's how people get along and how they all.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it goes down to knowing someone who they really are, and like you know, knowing what motivates them and why they come training and why they play sport, and you know who they do it for. And I think that the deeper you get into that, I think you only sort of grow and connect as a team. And you know, we've been fortunate enough to come very close over the last few years. And look, the success has helped, absolutely. You know, spending time with each other off the pitch and holidays and, you know, celebrations, and that has helped, absolutely. But I think, you know, if I was to take a team going now tomorrow to manage a team, or like whether it be underage or senior, I'd say, look, we really need to get these lads to know each other and get to know each other on that deeper level, and maybe, you know, that will bring them together on the pitch even more.
That's actually just what I've written down here. If you were coaching a team now, what's what would you be like trying to instill mostly in them? Is it that sort of bond?
Yeah, that would be definitely first and foremost. And like, you know, as a manager, we've probably moved away from the culture of like drinking bans and stuff like that. But like, lads really need to get to know each other on a personal level, first and foremost. You know, club lads will know each other, county lads will probably know of each other, but actually getting to know each other. And then I think from a footballing point of view, if I was like a coach, it'd be like very skills based. And luckily we've had that with Dublin over the last few years. It's literally putting hours and hours into skills based sessions and drills and whatever you're doing pre and post game or post training session, that it's all very skills based and with the football. And then from there, it's, you know, I'd love to think that I'd play attacking football, but obviously it depends on what sort of players you have as well. Yeah. But, you know, if I was a manager now, it'd be all out attack. Bring the keeper up, get Cluxton up to mark someone in the last few minutes and see what happens. But, yeah, no, I think that's, I don't know now, do I have an appetite for coaching later in life? But we'll see. That's what I trying to get to.
Yeah, I heard one there in Derry, like one of the under 14 coaches apparently had his team doing sprints there after a game, you know, for 10, 15 minutes. And I was like, what? And boys were like, that's fine. Like, you know, they're racing each other. I was like, they could be spending 10, 15 minutes shooting points, like, you know, or having a bit of crack.
And people assume, like, you know, I think when teams come together and then players and coaches, like, get squad together, it's all about getting them fit and stuff. And we assume players are doing these skills off, you know, in their own time. Yeah. But it's not often the case, I think. And the more you do it collectively, I think it'll bring everyone on. Like, you know, people are like, you know, do you actually practice these skills, like hand passing left, hand passing right with Dublin? And you're saying, yeah, of course we do. Like, these are the basic skills of our game. Like, you know, you're never good enough at that you don't need to practice. You know, that's not the case. So, yeah, sprints. To remove the sprints from my point of view. And, you know, there's a time and a place, but certainly not after game. Skills based for me all the way.
Well, you could actually bust a good myth now about your underage career, because you're one of these people, like there's about 15 of you who people latch on to, like, oh, he didn't play with Dublin Miners, so, you know, I could be the next Brian Fenton.
Yeah, it's something that I'm proud of, is because you know, that you sort of have to go about it a different way, and you sort of have to focus on different things. But that was at that period of my life and sporting career, was really come back to basics and focus on the skills. And because I notice things now, like lads who can like bounce with their weak hand out of a tackle, like they get away with so much, like, you know, whereas if you're stuck to one hand or one foot, if you're being really closely marked and hounded for the ball, if you have that second foot or hand to rely on, or second hand pass over the top or whatever it may be, it gets you out of trouble. So it's literally those basic skills, being able to bounce the ball with your right and left hands, or solo the ball right and left foot. And, you know, we're asked to go to clubs and do coaching sessions, and people are almost let down because we don't have any amazing secrets. Like, you know, we don't have, oh, this is, you know, if you do this, but like, it's literally just improve your skills, and you know, you'll become a better footballer.
But I saw a clip of you playing at under 14 level against Maharafelt up was it in the Fela final, and you look pretty good.
Don't bring it up. Yeah, it's amazing. I actually just got a text yesterday from my manager at that time, Pat Ivory, who he texted me, like, what's the name of that team who beat us in the Fela final? And I was, you're right, Donovan Ross and Maharafelt. And I've been up there since, but yeah, there's a couple of clips of it. There's a couple of clips of that game, but yeah, it's very sad. Missed another goal chance that day as well. I'm forever missing goal chances, but missed a last minute big long free into the box, caught it, turned, keeper saved it. So and the heartbreak that comes with a fail a lot.
Sounds like you've let it go though, at least.
No, never.
Well, they are current Derry senior champions as well, so at least you know that they went on.
Yeah. I was like, well, how come we didn't progress? Like, how come we're not Dublin champions? Because we're the cohort of players. But yeah, such is life.
You watching much of the Tour de France?
Yeah, sorry. So I was only watching it recently. Jeez, the emotion of it. It's Sam Bennett, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I saw his interview when he won the stage, and it's just like you couldn't make you more proud to be Irish. Like the emotion, that's it's just great to see someone like that, because they're the emotions you do feel even winning with Dublin or winning with your club, and thanking everyone who helped you on the journey, and he spoke about his team and just how much it meant to him, and it's just like, Jesus, that is real. That is so real, and he couldn't, even I think when there's a clip of him just after pulling in after the stage finishes, and he's still asking, he's like, are you sure? Like, it was close. We're on the, are you sure? And then he's told, and the team are, it's just, so I'm watching a bit. My dad loves it, and we always say that we'll get a camper van some year and follow it around the stages in France, but unfortunately, intercounty football doesn't allow for that.
Yeah. I see, you saw during lockdown, you rode your bike a lot as well. So do you have a bit of a bug for it, or?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be a cyclist, but I certainly enjoy getting out. It would be something that you would do maybe to add to your fitness, which isn't weight bearing per se. So we've the dreaded Hill of Hoth here, very near to me. So up on the bike and out there, but we had a very successful fundraiser there during the summer as well. So cycling and running was part of that, and it's certainly something you could do individually and not, as the restrictions and guidelines allowed. So the bike was sort of something I went to during the summer there, and over the last few months.
Yeah, and just finally then, I'm on the subject of Westlife and Coppers. The two main songs would be Word of Our Own or When You're Looking Like That.
So World of Our Own is a little bit slower, isn't it? A bit more emotional. When You Look Like That is probably a bopper, you get going. I'm going to regret this. World of Our Own, I think. World of Our Own.
I think that's the correct answer. Well done.
I look forward to the Dublin lads getting their hands on this.
No, well done. Here, thanks a million for that, Brian.
No worries, Conán. Thanks for your time. Cheers.